My name is Jorge Mújica, and I'm running for City Council on the 25th Ward in the city of Chicago. The 25th Ward comprises Pilsen, Chinatown, and a little bit of the West Loop, basically by the expressway, by the fancy deluxe condominiums right there. So it's it is composed that way because the current alderman, Danny Solis, decided to divide the vote, not to have a Latino-only ward. So he remapped, integrating several communities, and he believes that in that way he's unbeatable. We don't believe that. We believe that definitely Chinatown and Pilsen share the same poverty rates, the same unemployment rates, so they would feel more inclined to vote for us than to vote for him. I'm running as an openly declared socialist candidate. We believe that socialism has a space in City Council that hasn't been used, hasn't been tapped into, and we do want to tap into. We believe socialism and ideas from the point of view of socialism in City Council should work. So we are trying to, open that space for all left. It's not necessarily one socialist organization. There are several organizations in this campaign. So we have a platform based and around worker issues and workers' rights. Not only what we can do in City Council, but while we do the campaign, what we're doing is organizing workers around their own rights. Once in City Council, the plan is to precisely enforce and be vigilant of workers' rights in the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago doesn't have labor laws, but is capable of enforcing, an aldermanic office could enforce some of the labor laws. And that's what we would bring to City Council. Instead of having 50 businessmen, well, let's have 49 businessmen and one worker in City Council. That's basically the premise. We don't believe anymore in the idea of a big business person running because he's friends of labor and friends of the residents and friends of anything. We don't need friends. We need ourselves to get there to City Council and work from City Council to really organize the wards, organize the people in the wards, organize the workers in the ward. I currently work in a worker center around stolen wages. That's my daily life. And we have the intention to declare the 25th Ward a ward free of stolen wages. If you live in Pilsen, or if you work in Pilsen or any other sector of the 25th Ward, your salary should be guaranteed. And the aldermanic office should be there to provide you with that, not as a service, but as an organizing tool, as a fighting tool. You want to confront your employer, we will help you. We will confront your employer alongside with you. It's not that we are going to service you facing your employer. No, we are going to organize you to face your employer together and enforce all these workers' rights. Of course, we have problems with transportation. We have problems with environment. The current alderman wants to bring a metal shredder to shred cars, 1 block away from our only high school, for instance, which is, I don't know where does he get those kind of ideas, He's been saying that he's bringing jobs to Pilsen by opening a McDonald's, opening a Subway, opening a Dunkin' Donuts. We don't believe that is job creation. These are big, huge corporations, and they are paying minimum wage, and in many cases even less than minimum wage, as has been proven in the case of McDonald's. There are cases in court, etc. So what we need is a whole development plan. We have problems with housing. The majority of the owners of housing in this area don't live in the area. They used to live there in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. They are now retired and live in the suburbs. So we want to work on something, a pretty basic standard of maintenance of buildings for the renters, and maybe in some cases exercising even public domain, the city's public domain on some of those buildings, turn them into condo units for the current renters. So on October 1st, instead of paying rent, you're going to start paying your mortgage. And you know, if you become an owner of your building, every light bulb you change is going to be your investment. It's not going to be in the benefit of any homeowner who doesn't live here, who lives who knows where in the suburbs and is just living out of the rent. So there are many ideas of what we can do. The whole issue is to bring a socialist perspective of really helping and organizing and working with the majority of the ward, and not only with the big companies or the big business or the big real estate agents in the area. That's what we are running on.
We talked briefly about minimum wage jobs in the community and some of the large corporations such as McDonald's, Fortune 500 corporations that are actually looting the neighborhoods of pocket change and bringing back these minimum wage jobs. Now, you work in the area of stolen wages. Could you expand a little bit about stolen wages and how these employers use practices that actually take money out of the pockets of their employees?
Of course, that's a big crisis. 2 weeks ago, a couple of studies were released saying that just in 2012, workers, attorneys, labor unions, Department of Labor, whoever, were able to recover $996 million in stolen wages. And the calculation is that only 1 out of 100 workers who suffered this theft is denouncing and doing something to recover their wages. So the losses are in the billions of dollars for workers every year in the United States. Right here in Cook County, every day, $1.1 million in wages are stolen. And the ways to steal wages are amazingly creative on the part of employers. You know, it's working off the clock. You get to your job and you have to change and put your uniform and clean the place before punching in. We have a current case with a moving company. The workers are called at 6:30 in the morning, but they don't get paid until they get on a truck to go see a client, for instance. That's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours every day of stolen wages. Overtime paid as regular time, that's stolen wages. Not allowing the worker to take fully 30 minutes or 20-minute lunch, that's stolen wages, and so on and on. I mean, you can see it in amazing ways. Fines imposed to workers, cashiers who are charged if the cash, you know, the register doesn't count to the last cent, the daily sales or something like that. That's illegal, but employers do it anyways. And that's one of the problems with minimum wage. We don't believe only in increasing the minimum wage, but we have to guarantee that that minimum wage is paid in full. Otherwise, we could increase the minimum wage to $13 or to $15, but employers are going to be to keep paying $9 or $10 or $11 or $11.50 or $12, and they are not going to be paying the overtime. So, you know, we would always be behind the minimum wage, and the minimum is bare minimum, so we have to guarantee that at least that bare minimum is paid in full. Those are stolen wages.
Mm-hmm. And we talked also briefly about some of the environmental issues, and in particular the mega shredder that has been proposed.
Right. You know, there's some business associated to create this metal shredder. That's going to obviously increase transportation of trash to be shred in this metal shredder. Supposedly they are talking about 80 jobs, but we know that those are not going to be jobs for the community. They usually bring their own workers. This is a big corporation that has other settings. They are not going to be hiring people locally. We would love for all workers to be unionized so they can fight for their rights, you know, and improve their working conditions, etc. This is not the case. This company is not unionizing the other places. So it's not a good business for the community at all whatsoever. I mean, we don't oppose job creation, but we have to be really sure that that's going to benefit the particular place where the job is located. There's big controversy of whether a shredder is a contaminant in itself. And we are saying, well, is it possible to have a 100% enclosed operation? Maybe, but still doesn't mean that it's not going to be contaminating. You know, big chimneys, and who knows, Pilsen is one of the most contaminated areas in the whole city of Chicago. We have a huge industrial area there. You can't plant and harvest anything in your backyard in Pilsen because you run the risk of getting poisoned, you know, with all the contaminants there. So it's a big controversy. What kind of jobs could be created that really benefit the community and don't contaminate further? We were successful in closing the 2 coal plants, one in Pilsen and one in Little Village, and we are not going to start, you know, polluting again, a different kind of pollution. Actually, there's going to be 2 heliports also, talking about pollution, you know, noise pollution, one exactly north and one exactly south of the 25th Ward. So we're going to have 120 helicopters landing and taking off day and night, you know, around Pilsen. I'm sorry, why don't you put a heliport in Lincoln Park? I think it would be beautiful, you know, many people would use it right there, you know. Residents of Pilsen won't be using helicopters, believe you me. You know, so we don't need heliports surrounding Pilsen. We don't need them in the shredder. So there are many problems with pollution and contamination. Of course, the traffic of big trucks right by the high school, the Benito Juarez High School, is not a convenience for anyone. I mean, the industrial area should have their own ways to get access to. You're not going to be running trucks, you know, carrying cars to the shredder at the time the students are coming out from the high school. So it's a complicated issue, but well, we are fighting against it. One of the partners already pulled out, saying, well, no, we don't want to do this business. So hopefully we are in the right track to avoid it.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.